the reason you should care about this, I guess, is multiple things. Is like I just illustrated, one, kids are involved. And that changes the game a little bit. That's crossing over a line that demands our attention. But perhaps if that doesn't, and if that doesn't, I don't know what will get your attention. But if that doesn't, then perhaps you also need to consider this. Chattanooga Pride, or Tennessee Valley Pride, is a LGBTQIA plus advocacy organization that put on these series of shows over the weekend and decided to, in September for some reason, have a Pride Week. And they are responsible for doing some other things that I think that you should know about. In fact, just last year in July, they teamed up with the Edwin to put on a fundraiser of sorts. And you can see right here, I'm putting up on their website what they did. On July 17th of 2021, the Chattanooga Pride Board partnered with Whiskey Thief, which is a restaurant in the Edwin Hotel. And they partnered with them to raise money for the Hamilton County Bailout Fund. So from 3 to 5 p.m., 50% of everything that was made in that period of time went to the Hamilton County Bailout Fund. Now, I should explain that the Edwin is a very, very nice hotel that's on the river here in Chattanooga. It's a 4-star, if not 5-star hotel, and a place that my wife and I have frequented in the past, and that will come into play here in just a moment. But they teamed up with Chattanooga Pride for the Hamilton County Bailout Fund. Now, what is the Hamilton County Bailout Fund? Well, that's an organization that bails out people who have been accused of a crime. Anybody that's been accused of a crime, they think that should have the presumption of innocence, shouldn't have to spend a second in jail. So out of this 501c3 organization's coffers, they'll give money to anybody who committed a crime and has bail under the amount of $5,000. Now, I saw some varying things online, whether it's $10,000 or $5,000, so I'm going with the conservative $5,000 bailout fund. So you might be asking yourself right about this time, well, what kind of crimes come with a total of around about $5,000 in bail or lower than that? Well, here are the kind of crimes that Chattanooga Pride and the Edwin Hotel is bailing people out of. So these are crimes like voyeurism, the unlawful transmission of sexually explicit material. This is things like even terrorism and harassment and enticing children and public displays of lewdness, and many, many more. So as you can see, there's a panoply of different crimes that fall under the auspices of the bailout fund that it was being raised by Chattanooga Pride and the Edwin Hotel. So I bring up the Edwin and Chattanooga Pride in the Hamilton County Bailout Fund because it's perfectly within bounds and legitimate to suggest that the Edwin was working with groomers to release pedophiles back out on the street. And that's, at least to say, a little bit troubling. It's also possible that you could get a $5,000 bail for causing a riot in the city streets. So we're starting to get a little bit of a picture here that people who believe that sexual mores and conservative sexual values are a thing of the past and need to be destroyed and need to get rid of those as quickly as possible, even at the expense of abusing children publicly. And people who riot in the streets. There are organizations out there who are willing to pardon those kind of people because ultimately they don't want there to be repercussions for the kind of things that these organizations approve of. So, and there is one part of the aisle, one side of the aisle who actually kind of buys into this kind of thing. As you can see from the New York Post, just last year, Kamala Harris backed a bail fund that freed a Minneapolis man who was a domestic abuser and was charged then, after he was released and bailed out, with slaying a man, shooting a man in a road rage incident. So all of that to say this. One, we should be standing up for kids. That should be enough. Two, we're also personally affected by these kind of organizations that support left-wing liberal values who are interested in letting criminals out on the street because they happen to participate in crimes that these people are actually very likely to endorse. So it's at least a little bit troubling that it's coming to our own backyard, and it's time for us to finally wake up, and I think it's time for us to have a response to these kind of things. So you just got done watching a small excerpt of a much larger episode. You can find the link to that full episode down below in the description of this video, so you definitely need to check that out, because if you like that clip, you'll like the much larger episode. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click that little bell to be notified when great new episodes of Anything Heard come your way. Thanks for watching.